Good evening and welcome. Tonight we are going to be looking through this book about Libya. We're going to look at all the pictures and read all the little boxes. So let's just dive right in. Some cool old Roman buildings here. Playing on the slide at the playground. We've got what Libya looked like in 2015. And this is, I was going to say it's an oil and gas terminal, it says. We have some migrants here coming to Tunisia. And a UN High Commissioner for Human Rights saying things in Libya are bad. But thankfully nowadays, since this book came out about 10 years ago, it's gotten a lot better. It's not perfect, but it's way better than it was. Look at this little camel passing by the big sand dune here. And some more camels here led by this guy in the desert. And here's the capital city of Tripoli. And the Green Mountains, which you can see why they're called the Green Mountains. Let's read about the Great Sahara. Not all of the Sahara is sand. In fact, sand dunes cover only about a quarter of the 5.7 million square miles of the Sahara, the second largest desert in the world after Antarctica. Much of the Sahara is covered by rock and gravel. Its highest parts are in the Tassili Najir in Algeria and the Tibesti Mountains, both touching the southern borders of Libya. Surrounding these mountains are plains of gravel formed partly from ancient riverbeds. Stretching from the Atlantic Ocean to the Red Sea, the Sahara contains mountains that reach up to 11,204 feet in height, lost oases, forgotten cities, salt, iron and copper and uranium mines, oil wells, and plains of multicolored rock, gravel, and sand. Yeah, there's a lot in the Sahara. It's a big oasis here called Alma. It's really pretty. Let's read about the breadbasket of Rome. The northern shores of Africa, including the Nile Valley, were the grain-producing areas of the Roman Empire. In Libya, more than 200 Roman wells have been discovered. Once cleaned, they work as well as they did 2,000 years ago. The Roman settlers and farmers dammed up narrow dry valleys known as wadis to trap moisture. Aqueducts 70 to 100 miles long, shown here, were built to carry water to the public baths in the thriving coastal cities. Look at that big aqueduct. Wow. There's a sandstorm happening here in this picture. And we have a little box here about the palm tree, but first let's take a look at this cute jerboa. Definitely on the wacky animal scale, isn't it? But really cute. It's like a 6 out of 10 on the wacky scale. The palm tree. In Libya, palm trees are found either by the sea or by most oases. It is never too hot or cold for the date palm, which survives night frosts and even snow. Date palms are either male or female. Pollen from the male tree is necessary for a female tree to produce fruit. The Bedouin believe palms that grow close together are friends. If one dies, the other trees will droop in mourning. Nomads use every part of the date palm. The trunk provides timber, fuel, and fiber to make sacks and rope. The stalks are used for fences and roofs. The stringy part of the leaf is woven into baskets, mats, and sandals. And the juice of the young palm makes a sweet drink that can be fermented into palm wine. And of course, there's the fruit. Dates are the nomads' daily bread. Dried and ground, they provide date flour, while their juice makes date honey. Even the date stones are ground and mixed with fodder for cattle or roasted to produce date coffee, a very bitter drink. Never thought you could make coffee out of dates. There's a skink, a big old lizardy guy. Let's read about where the buffalo roamed. The Central Sahara contains a treasure trove of cave paintings and carved rock art by a hunting people who lived in the area approximately between 12,000 and 4,000 BCE. The art shows a much different region than the desert of today, a lush grassland teeming with giant buffalo, elephant herds, and even hippopotamuses. Scientists believe that a major climate change occurred about 5,000 years ago, beginning a process of desertification that gradually turned grasslands into barren desert. And a beautiful box here this sweet guy about the camel. Although motorized transportation is common in Libya, the camel remains valuable for long journeys and is also used for plowing. A camel's speed rarely exceeds 4 miles an hour. It can be forced into a rapid trot, but only for a few minutes or it will go lame. Owners look after camels carefully because to own many camels is a sign of great wealth. Camels can drink 20 gallons of water at one time. But ignore rumors that this water is stored in its hump. The hump is made of fat and does not store water. The camel stores its main supply of liquid in its stomach, which has 3 sections and can hold over 50 gallons. When all that is used up, the camel goes on for 2 or 3 days on the liquid stored in its body tissues. The camel is actually an Asiatic animal and was not introduced to the deserts west of the Nile River until the 1st century BCE. Known as the ship of the desert, the one-humped Arabian camel can survive on dry twigs and can smell water up to a mile away. It lives for 40 years or more and can carry a load of 1,000 pounds and travel 25 miles a day. Nomadic Libyans make use of every part of a camel carcass. They use its thick hide to make sandals and get lard from its hump. The people eat the meat of young camels and drink camel's milk, which they use to make cheese. Camel droppings are dried for fuel. In biblical times, when the Hebrew nation under Gideon fought the various peoples of Canaan, the raiding Midianites that attacked the Israelites rode on camels. The sight of the raiders on these animals, creatures previously considered wild and untamable, frightened the mighty Hebrew soldiers. Even trained camels can be haughty and vicious. They spit, bite, and kick when they are annoyed. There's a sand grouse here, little bird. The Arch of Marcus Aurelius in Tripoli. Isn't that incredible? How so many Roman ruins still stand in Libya. Let's read about some of them. UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The United Nations Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, has urged all sides involved in the present fighting to preserve Libya's cultural heritage. Libya has 5 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. First is Leptis Magna. Leptis Magna was enlarged and embellished by Septimius Severus, Roman emperor from 193 to 211 CE. He was born there and later became emperor. It was one of the most beautiful cities in the Roman Empire, with its imposing public monuments, harbor, marketplace, storehouses, shops, and residential districts. Although Leptis, which is a Latinized version of its Phoenician name, was comparable to the other Phoenician trading centers of the Syrian coast, like Sabratha, After Septimius Severus became emperor in 193 CE, its fortunes improved remarkably. Thanks to him, the renewed Leptis became one of the most beautiful cities of the Roman world. It is still one of the best examples of Severan urban planning. The ancient port, with its artificial basin of some 1.1 million square feet, still exists with its quays, jetties, fortifications, storage areas, and temples. The market, an essential element in the everyday life of a large commercial trading center, with its votive arch, colonnades, and shops, has been preserved for the most part. Next is Cyrene. Cyrene, founded in 630 BCE, was built by Greeks coming from the island of Thera. It was one of the main cities of ancient Greece. Its ruins are located in the valley in the Jebel Akhdar uplands in the present-day city of Shahat in Libya. The ancient city grew to become one of the major cities of ancient Libya, establishing trade relations with other Greek cities of that period. It had its own kings in the 5th century BCE, but by 460 BCE it had become a republic. Cyrene was conquered by the Romans around 96 BCE and became a Roman province. Under the Romans, Cyrene remained an important city until it came to an unceremonious end in a massive earthquake that took place in 262 CE. Next is Sabratha. The archaeological site of Sabratha is in northwestern Libya. Sabratha was established by the Phoenicians around 500 BCE as a trading post for products coming from the African hinterland. It was originally called Spurton. There's a possibility that a village might have already existed in the area when the Phoenicians arrived. Next is the old town of Gadam. The old town of Gadam stands in an oasis and is known as the Pearl of the Desert. The town is one of the oldest pre-Saharan settlements, and while none of its original buildings remain, it still retains its own archaeological style. Houses were organized vertically by function. Ground floors were used to store supplies, an upper floor for family, why was that hard to say, floor for family, and open-air terraces were reserved for women. Then we have the rock art sites of Tadrart Akakis. Tadrart Akakis is located in a mountainous region located in the Fezzan, east of the city of Gat. Thousands of cave paintings in varying styles can be found on cave walls scattered throughout the region. The paintings date from 12,000 BCE to 100 CE and reflect the changes of plant and animal life, and also depict the changing ways of life of people who lived in the region. Yeah, how neat that you can tell this is giraffes here. That's really cool. Another box here about the Sanusi movement. After making the pilgrimage to Mecca, a Berber leader named Sheikh Muhammad ibn Ali al-Sanusi decided that Islam needed strengthening against the persuasive attractions of the Western world. He opened a series of religious lodges. The first was in Mecca and another in Libya. By 1867, there were 50 lodges in Cyrenaica. The aim of the Sanusi Muslims was to live pious lives and purify their faith. In due course, this brotherhood of stern-minded Arabs made highly effective warriors against the Italians. The Sanusi sect became the backbone of Libyan resistance against Italian rule. This was the time of the legendary Sanusi hero Omar al-Mukhtar, a simple country school teacher who led the Libyan resistance. Leading a force of nomadic fighters that rose to 6,000 people, Omar led intermittent attacks on Italian communications and supply lines for nearly 20 years. In September 1931, he was wounded and captured in the Green Mountains and subsequently hanged before a crowd of 20,000 Libyans. During World War II, many Senussis fled to Egypt and joined the Allied forces to continue the fight against the Italians. And there's Mukhtar being arrested right there. Let's see. A soldier seizing the flag of, I guess the Islamic flag, just plain green, right? Which the flag of Libya was for quite a while. King Idris in 1951. Libya did have a monarchy before being deposed by this guy, Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi, right? And let's say this is after a U.S. raid on Tripoli. And we're going to skip this box. I don't think YouTube's going to like that box very much. Lots of Libyan flags hanging. It's pretty cool. Big boom there. Let's see. Forces from Libya Dawn Militia. Oh my. Big violence, right? We're not going to read some sayings of Gaddafi. That's what this box is here. This was the acting prime minister of Libya when this book came out. I think we're going to skip this box too about the Muslim Brotherhood. Not as bad as the previous boxes, but I'm not sure how much YouTube is going to like me talking about extremists from any side, right? And the prime minister of the Tobruk-based government when this book came out. Right, happier things. Harvesting some dates up here. Can you see? And I keep trying to fix this glare on these pages. No matter what I do, it just glares slightly differently. But this guy is harvesting dates. There's a big oil refinery here. And this is at an olive oil factory. Look at this, the Great Man-Made River. I love this photo of the guy standing in this section here about to be added to this big tunnel. Let's read about the Great Man-Made River. The Great Man-Made River is a network of pipes that supplies water to the coastal cities and towns in Libya from the Nubian sandstone aquifer system, Fossil Aquifer. It is the world's largest irrigation project. It is the largest underground network of pipes and aqueducts in the world. It consists of more than 13,000 wells, most of these more than 1,640 feet deep, and supplies 239 million cubic feet of fresh water per day to the cities of Tripoli, Benghazi, Sirte, and elsewhere. Gaddafi described it as the eighth wonder of the world. Although the Great Man-Made River is impressive, experts think that the water table in the areas from which the water is being pumped may drop, threatening the supply to local oases. There is little hope of these deep water reserves being replenished if depleted. The thick, sandy dunes of the Sahara have so far protected underground water supplies from evaporation, but there is not significant rainfall to replenish them if they disappear. Within a century, they could run dry. Pictures of some Libyan money here. It says they still have pictures of Gaddafi on them. Some camels here getting a drink. This one's looking at you. A big lake in the Libyan desert, Lake Gaborone. And drawing some water from the wells here. And this fountain is at the end of the Great Man-Made River in Tripoli. It turns into a big fountain that you can splash and play in. Let's read about desert species. Most people mistakenly think that the desert consists only of sand and rocks. The Sahara Desert, of which Libya is a part, has varied ecosystems of plant, animal, and insect life. Small plants germinate quickly after the rains, and fields of colorful flowers carpet the desert for days or weeks afterward. The plants must grow and reproduce quickly under the desert sun to escape dehydration and death. Still, seeds can lie buried under the Saharan sands for up to a decade until there is enough rain for growth, when once again the desert blooms. Although the Libyan desert is one of the hottest and driest areas of the Sahara, reptiles and insects have adapted well to the challenges of survival. Lizards and desert snakes burrow under the ground during the day to escape the hot desert sun, but come out to bask in the gentle warmth of morning and evening. Scorpions burrow deep into the sand and impart a dangerous and sometimes lethal sting to anyone who unwittingly steps in their path. Around the desert oases there are mosquitoes, which breed in any stagnant water they can find and plague the population, even in one of the driest and most remote areas of the world. Because of increased development and population pressure, the mammals of Libya face increased danger and many species are in decline. The famous Barbary lion of North Africa, used in bloody games at the Colosseum during the days of the Roman Empire, is now found only in special breeding areas. In the early 20th century, it was hunted almost to extinction. Now there are none left in the wild. City people increasingly hunt the ibex right here, a small gazelle perfectly adapted to rocky and dry terrain, and they are quickly becoming an endangered species. Unfortunately, Libyans are not aware of the pressures they are placing on their environment or the plight of endangered animals that live within their borders. Many international organizations, such as the African Conservation Foundation and the World Wildlife Fund, are starting programs to save the desert species. What's interesting, story time. I've just recently moved to Reno within the past year, right? Reno, Nevada. In Nevada, we have Las Vegas. There's a zoological society here in Reno that saves farm animals and also animals that were smuggled in for, I guess, rich people in Vegas to show off. And they care for them and help them out, you know. So we went to look at the animals and they had a Barbary lion. Like, I was losing my mind because I never, ever thought I'd see a Barbary lion in person. It was incredible. It had the black mane and everything. So cool. They had a camel too. Lots of really amazing animals there. They're watering this field here. And sadly, this water looks very polluted with plastics. And fishing cages here, trawling for fish. Really amazing picture. I love this like head ornament there. That's incredible. And some Berber women in their beautiful, beautiful clothing. Time to pray. Gotta stop what you're doing if it's that time of day. A sparse diet. Dairy products are the main food source for the Bedouin. They make a kind of yogurt from camel and goat milk and also butter. Most of their meals consist of a bowl of camel or goat milk, yogurt, or rice covered with ghee or clarified butter. They eat round loaves of unleavened bread when available, with dates from oasis palm trees for desert. Meat is a rarity eaten only on special occasions. Of course, there is no refrigeration in the Bedouin nomadic existence, so all food must be eaten fresh or otherwise preserved. This guy's steering his camels. We've got ruins of a Berber village, it says. It's really pretty. Population statistics. We're actually going to skip this because surely this has changed since 2015, right? A Tuareg woman in her beautiful, beautiful jewelry here. That's incredible. Must be very heavy, but it does look beautiful. And some littles here. They're in a refugee camp, probably waiting in a line for something good. He's got a Libya shirt. This guy is kicking some, I don't know roller skating terms. What is he doing? Just doing some sick moves, I guess. This is Tripoli, capital city. She's got her voter ID card. I kept trying to say photo. Voter ID card. He's got some water bottles to fill during a water shortage in Tripoli. Now, this is an interesting fact about a dark time in Libya's history, the revolutionary nuns. Before his fall from power, Colonel Gaddafi always had a posse of all-female bodyguards with him. The group was formed in the early 1980s. They had the unofficial name of the Amazonian Guard, given by Western journalists, but were officially known as the Revolutionary Nuns. Gaddafi would usually travel with 15 of his young female guards, who were assigned to protect the dictator from harm and also to do housekeeping for him. The women had to take a vow of chastity and pledge to give up their life for their leader. All of the women underwent extensive training in the use of firearms and techniques of martial arts at a special academy. In 1998, one of the female bodyguards was killed and 7 others were wounded when Gaddafi's motorcade was attacked. They're working hard in school. It says they're in English class. Bedouin hospitality and honor. The ancient traditions of Bedouin hospitality arise from the harsh conditions of the desert. The Bedouin believe that if a stranger comes to their tent dying of thirst, they should give the stranger food and shelter for 3 days, even if the stranger might have murdered a member of their family. Bedouin hosts brew fresh coffee for their guests, and the family drinks whatever is left later. They use beautiful brass jugs that may be among the family's most prized possessions to serve their guests. In the cities, people offer their guests a cup of tea or coffee. Owners of traditional shops do the same for their customers, but the practice does not fit the fast-paced supermarket culture of the cities. Although the Bedouin regard hospitality as a duty and offer it freely to any visitor, they guard their honor fiercely and jealously. Upholding honor may mean death, as an insult can start a blood feud. Robbery and theft are not common in Bedouin society. People respect one another's property, and a Bedouin family can safely leave their rolled-up tent weighted with stones on the ground without worry of it being stolen while they're away. The hospital here, helping the wounded. I hope they're not fighting the wounded. That's what would happen, is be in the coffin. Look at this mosque. My goodness, it looks like a pastry. Looks like you could eat it. That's a beautiful building. And time to pray. This is on Eid al-Adha, which, funnily enough, is today. The day I'm filming this is Eid al-Adha in 2023. This is another beautiful mosque. Oh, this is Mecca. A very beautiful mosque indeed. That's the entrance to the big mosque in Mecca. And this is actually in Libya. Beautiful green carpets here in the prayer hall. Let's read about some superstitions. Islamic tradition frowns on superstition. Nevertheless, Muslims pay great attention to dreams, which they believe are sent by God. In many communities, there are people known for their ability to interpret dreams. Most Libyans believe that dreams have an opposite result. For example, a frightening dream may well be a good sign. Dreams can also be warnings of dire happenings. Although such events cannot be avoided, they are the will of Allah. Muslims believe that sickness may be sent by God or through the power of a curse from someone wishing another harm. Many Libyans wear charms, usually a small container with a verse from the Quran on a leather thong. Some pregnant women wear an earring in the shape of a blue hand with an eye on its palm. The hand is called the Kamsa, or the hand of Fatima, and is meant to protect the wearer from harm and bad luck. You can see it here. Some older Libyans believe in the existence of evil spirits called jinn that live in haunted places. They can drive a person insane or kill them. Jinn are believed to be able to assume the form of snakes, dogs, cats, monsters, or people. Another box here about genies and spells. Strict Muslims like to hear stories from the Quran and about the life of the Prophet Muhammad. Many Libyans also enjoy listening to folk tales passed down for many generations that tell of enchanted lands and the spirit world. Many of the fables have a hero who encounters a genie or another type of magical creature that helps him win his fortune. The hero also often meets mythical creatures such as winged monsters and wicked sorcerers who cast evil spells. Although such stories are frowned upon by strict Islamic tradition, they are very popular with Libyans. Let's see, this is at a Coptic church in Libya. It says it was bombed in 2012. It's really sad. How to do the Hajj. I think we're going to skip this one because it doesn't really pertain to Libya in particular. Reading the Quran there. And these are the National Archives. I assume in Tripoli. Practicing writing there. Box here about the language of chess, which probably doesn't pertain to Libya in particular, but why not? It's a little box. In chess, a game adopted by Christian Europe from the Islamic world, several terms we use today come from the Arabic or Persian languages. The word checkmate comes from the Persian shamat, meaning the king is dead. The castle is also called the rook, which comes from the Persian rook. The word rook can also mean chariot. The castle/rook moves in a similar straight and powerful manner. The bishop in Arabic is called al-fil, the elephant. Interesting. I wonder why they changed it to bishop. I guess if you have kings and queens, right? This is an Al Jazeera journalist reporting from Benghazi. Beautiful, beautiful tile art here. That is lovely. And some of the cave art that we were talking about before. You can see a palm tree. Let's see, some more beautiful tile work here. No human figures. Again, probably doesn't pertain to Libya, but it's a tiny box. Let's just read it. Muslims believe that anything created by God is perfect and that it would be wrong to copy the sublime in an imperfect way, so there can be no human figures in pictures, sculpture, decorations, or designs in mosques. To make a carving or painting of a human being that can be admired would be like making an idol to be worshipped in a mosque. Instead, Libyan artists and architects use intricate patterns of geometric designs or flowers. However, outside of mosques, depictions of people are welcomed. Little dude here's got his tambourine here sitting on Dad's shoulder. And this is in Medina, it says. Courtyard area. Chiron and Cyrene. For the best examples of North African Islamic design, one must look farther west to Chiron, once one of the holy cities of Islam in the days when the land was known as Ifriqiya. The great mosque there is strictly practical, yet it is one of the most beautiful buildings. A single huge square minaret acts as a landmark and a fortress gate through which grateful travelers can reach the sheltered enclosure inside, kind of like the yard of a caravanserai. The blank outside walls give no hint of the elegant arcaded courtyard within. The mosque itself has simple round arches that link rows of sturdy columns, with just a hint of floral decoration at their tops, giving the impression of an endless forest. Another example of a classical Greek archaeological site is Cyrene, home of the famed doctors and the long-vanished medicinal herb silphium. Julius Caesar had 1,500 pounds of silphium stored away, but by the time Nero became emperor 100 years later, only one plant could be found in Cyrene for him to use. After the Arab invasions came the invasion of sand. Many of the marble columns of Leptis Magna were plundered by a French consul as a gift for King Louis XIV to help build the Palace of Versailles. Then King George IV acquired what was left of them to make imitation ruins beside Victoria Water, an ornamental lake he had created. The bulk of the cities remained buried until the Italian invasion, when the Italian colonial government, eager to rediscover the greatness of Rome, had them excavated. Yet the most exciting remains of Libya remain undiscovered. The ruins of Berber and Saharan towns still lie somewhere inland beneath the sweeping sands. They will have to wait because excavating teams from abroad have not been welcomed by the Libyan authorities. It's a busy day here. All the little cafe tables out. Doing some diving there to the ocean. It says this was during a power outage, so it was very hot, so that must have felt very nice. Kicking around football here. I like that picture. And a very exciting race here. Ooh, that's really fun. We'll skip this little poem. These are Boy Scouts here in Benghazi, it says, packing meals for rebel fighters. And we've got, I love this photo. We've got this traditional Tuareg person there in the clothes playing electric guitar. That's amazing. And having a celebration here, celebrating the 3rd anniversary of the uprising in Martyrs Square. Some more celebrations. This is on their Independence Day. Making some pastries there for Ramadan. And some delicious, delicious samosas. Let's talk about food. Look how appetizing these dates look with some tea. Let's read about Ramadan nights. Even though it is spent fasting, the month of Ramadan is a month of special food and drink enjoyed after sundown. Iftar, or the breaking of the fast, is a very important time for the family to be together. Usually the women of the household spend all day cooking for the evening meal. Dates, a hot lentil soup, and tamarind juice traditionally begin the meal, but after a brief wait, larger and more substantial dishes follow. Salads and dips of lentils and beans, sizzling grilled meats, spicy rice or couscous, yum, and plenty of hot flat bread are the essential part of a late-night Ramadan meal. Food is often cooked in abundance so that there is plenty for guests, family, and friends. Desserts and pastries are of special importance during the holy month, when friends and relatives stop by. It would be unthinkable not to have a plate of pastries to offer visitors, along with the obligatory tea and coffee. Popular pastries include baklava, a pistachio and honey pastry with crunchy layers, basbousa, a semolina cake soaked in flavored syrup, and oh my, kona fabilishta, a layered pastry filled with a sweet cream center. Although the pastries can be made at home, the more popular option is to buy huge plates from the local confectioner and bring them home in parcels tied with ribbon. During the month of Ramadan, Libyans wake up before dawn to have the last meal before sunrise, called suhoor. To wake people, a musician often walks through the neighborhood streets banging a small drum. Suhoor is not obligatory for fasting Muslims, but it is a popular option for people who find that they work better on a full stomach. That would be me if I had to fast. The meal is often a light fruit juice, some rice or pudding, or salad and bread. Because it is at least an hour before sunrise, most people go back to sleep until morning, so the food must be light and easy to digest. Ramadan is a month of different schedules and routines, but a time of joy and togetherness. One last box here about spices. Spices and herbs are essential to Arab cooking. The most common include salt and pepper, of course, saffron, ginger, garlic, cinnamon, cumin, and coriander. Salt is found in the Sahara Desert in deposits left by long-vanished seas. It is used as a flavoring agent, a preservative, and an antiseptic. Pepper, ground from the dried berries of the pepper vine, gives food a hot, sharp taste. Saffron, the dried stigmas of a purple-flowered crocus, is used to flour and color rice. It is the most expensive spice in the world. Ginger is a root that is usually dried and preserved in syrup. It gives a rich tang to meat and fruit. Garlic is a strong-smelling medicinal herb of the onion family and is used to tenderize meat and flavor salads. Cinnamon, a fragrant stick of bark, is ground and used as an ingredient in curry powder or in cakes and puddings. Cumin is a sharp-tasting, mildly hot seed that is used whole or powdered in curry. Coriander adds flavor and aroma to many dishes. The seed is used whole or powdered, and the leaves are added to chutneys and sauces. And we're buying some bread there at the market. See the recipes. Libyan soup, shorba. Looks like a basic little lentil soup. And Arabic milk pudding, which actually looks pretty good. I would try a bite of that. There's a big old map of Libya here. And that's where Libya is located in the world. And that is it for tonight. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing, because I do book flip-throughs and reading boxes like this all the time. So I would consider subscribing if I were you. I hope you found this video relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good night.